What is up, everybody? I'm George Mossey. Happy New Year. So, Annie and David, after the 90 days, it's back for the first time in the new year. So, this is season 2, episode 4. We're 4 episodes in. We're really hoping to see Amber and Jordan make it to the US. So, unfortunately, on this episode, we had to say goodbye to Ashley and Aubrey, who actually caught COVID the day they got to Thailand and ended up quarantining for the entire 10 days that they had planned to be there and get to know the family. So unfortunately, we're saying goodbye to them, which is a huge disappointment for me because I love the dynamic that Ashley brought to the show. I feel like Ashley has a really good attitude and she's definitely working on improving her relationship with her dad. And I loved seeing her and her dad interact. So I'm hoping once he gets back to the States, they're going to plan something together and we're going to see more of Ashley and Aubrey in David and Annie's life. Fingers crossed. That's what I really, really hope for this season. So on this episode, we know that Aunt Loam has had some thoughts in her head about whether or not David can take care of Amber and Jordan, which David does have kids of his own, but she did learn from Ashley while Ashley was there that there was a time where David was traveling a lot and he did not have a lot of time with his children. And that has made Aunt Loam a bit skeptical about whether or not she trusts David taking Amber and Jordan not just to the US, but we're actually learning to Phuket as well. Phuket is still in the same country, but she feels she wants to be 100% sure that Amber and Jordan are going to be taken care of, which brings her to the conclusion that if David is bringing Amber and Jordan to Phuket, he is also bringing Aunt Loam to Phuket, and there's no real talking her out of it. And since she is an elder in her village and an elder in her family, you can't really decide to tell someone who is an elder they can't do something. As Annie said in the episode, she said, I don't really know how to say no or even what word to use as no to say to my elder. You just let them be. So this is going to make the trip a bit complicated because Aunt Loam is the elder and Amber and Jordan will be prone to listen to anything that she tells them to do over David because David is not their elder and they have to respect Aunt Loam's wishes and everything that she asks of them in Phuket. So we know that Annie's brother Joe has returned back from the Thai Navy SEALs and he had a very serious conversation with Jordan, telling Jordan that he really wished that he had the opportunities that Jordan has in front of him right now. And he's encouraging him to take this opportunity and go to America and use this opportunity to improve his life. And it almost seems as though he's listening. Jordan is taking the advice. He does see that the opportunity is something that basically improve his life. And I think hearing it from his older brother Joe is the extra push that he needed to make that decision and decide to go forward with it. Annie tried, but Annie couldn't get through. But I think the older brother telling him exactly how good this situation could be for him was exactly what he needed. So Cindy finds out that Aunt Loam has invited herself to Phuket and she will basically be taking charge of this trip. So in true Cindy fashion, she has decided if you are going to invite yourself on a trip to Phuket, so will I. And Cindy says since Aunt Loam is not her elder, she has no problem going toe to toe with her face to face and being the voice of reason for Annie, which is going to keep Annie's sanity in check because Annie is definitely looking at this as how am I going to deal with taking Amber and Jordan and Aunt Loam with me and David? There's just too many different dynamics for Annie to feel comfortable in this situation. So Cindy said, don't worry, I got you, girl. I am going to make sure that I keep this situation under control. So will there be some scenes between Aunt Loam and Cindy where there's actually some fighting and arguing? That's what I'm wondering because I've never seen anyone fight with their elder, especially in Thai culture. But again, this is not Cindy's elder. Cindy is not actually a part of the family. They merely just grew up in the same village. So Cindy does not have to adhere to that necessarily. So hopefully this trip to Phuket is going to be a good experience for Amber and Jordan. They're going to see the Western culture. They're going to learn English at the tutor and they will be perfectly ready for their green card interview when the time comes. Last but not least, it's time for David to become a monk and the entire village is participating and we even watched the leader of the village come. The whole village has taken the day off. There's going to be a parade. There's going to be a celebration and they actually have a ceremony where they cut David's hair and it starts with the leader of the village. Then it goes to the family from oldest to youngest and then at the end, an actual barber finishes off and cuts David's hair and basically cuts it all off. And we all know that David had a hair transplant, which is not only expensive, but extremely painful, and something that he went through to make sure that his hair was full and great and beautiful. And now we're watching him shave it off, which made him emotional. He even FaceTimed Ashley and watched this situation unfold before her eyes. And we're all just really shocked because David said that he wanted to become a monk. And let's be honest, we all thought, well, that's probably not going to happen. So this is where we are. We're watching David go through this monk ceremony. And even David said it's too late to look back or turn around now. He is too far deep in. This is something that he is going to have to do. So we are watching the family almost enjoy too much cutting David's hair. Aunt Loam said it really made her satisfied cutting David's hair. So we know that there's a little animosity there with Aunt Loam because we know how she feels about David deep down. So on the next episode, we're going to watch the actual monk ceremony take place, and we're going to watch David transition into the temple and see what the living conditions are like in this temple, because he said it's a short time. I don't know exactly how long he has to stay in the temple, but I just want to know if he's going to be able to go through with it, because this is not something simple to do. This is a whole lifestyle change, and it's just a very different situation. All right, guys, I'm George Mossey. Make sure to follow me on all social media platforms at George Mossey and at georgemossey.com for all your 90 Day Fiancé news, interviews, and updates.